The first question is the so-called the Jews living in Israel, which are from Ashkenazi descent, the European Jews. The Sabbath that they observe is on a Saturday. We all know that. Now, if they're going against God's will, where are they?
Okay, and then what's the second one? I asked you this because I noticed that there's some problem with the phones, and so that once we go into the Bible, I don't want us to, go back. So okay, let's first of all, the European Jews, like you said,
about the Bible verses that refers to the lunar calendar for the.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. So first of all, let's go to Exodus chapter 32. Exodus 32. The question is, the European Jews who are in the land of Israel right now, who are keeping the Sabbath on Saturday, are they doing it wrong? Are they worshiping Satan when they do the Sabbath on Saturday? That is the first question. So what we need to do is we go to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus. Deuteronomy chapter 32. Let's go to Deuteronomy 32 and see what the Most High said about those people that you're talking about. Deuteronomy, because we need to see who they are from the Bible. When we see what the Most High said about them from the Bible, then that will then gives you an idea of what's going to happen to them. Okay, I can just sit here and tell you that this will happen to them or that will happen to them. That's not really enough, and that's not my style. I'm not just going to tell you that this is going to happen to them. Let's see what the Most High said about them in the Bible. That will give us an idea of their future, what's going to happen to them. So you go to Deuteronomy chapter 32. So in Deuteronomy chapter 32, the Most High is talking to his people. Okay, he's talking to his children, as he called them. In Deuteronomy chapter 32, he describes the people that he's talking to as his children. So you can read the whole chapter yourself at your own time. I'm not going to read the whole chapter here, but we're going to read, and then at your own time you can read the whole chapter of Deuteronomy 32 at your own time, so that you can have a better understanding of what he's saying there. So let's start from verse 16. So the Most High is talking about the Israelites, and he's talking about his people, the Israelites. And then from there he began to talk about some other people that's how we get to the people who claim to be Jews today. So this is found all over different places in the Bible about these people that claim to be Jews today. So the Most High is talking to his people in Deuteronomy chapter 32. Deuteronomy 32, let's start from verse 16. So he's talking about his own people, the real Jews, the real Hebrew Israelites. So Deuteronomy chapter 32 from verse 16. Deuteronomy 32 from verse 16. It says, they provoke him to jealousy with foreign gods. With abominations, they provoke him to anger. They sacrifice to demons, not to God or Elohim, to gods they did not know, to new gods, new arrivals that your fathers did not know. So he is talking to his people, and you see that his people provoked him to anger. The people of the Most High, he said in Deuteronomy chapter 32 from verse 16, provoked him to anger. This is what's going to lead us to the people today that claim to be the Jews. Okay, so it says in verse 32, verse 16, they provoke him to jealousy with foreign gods, with abominations. They provoke him to anger. They sacrifice to demons, not to Elohim, to gods they did not know, to new gods, to new arrivals that your fathers did not know. the new arrivals that your father did not fear. Verse 18, this is verse 18, Deuteronomy chapter 32. Of the rock who begot you, you are unmindful and have forgotten the Elohim who fathered you. This is God speaking to his own people. Okay, it's very important to understand this before you can understand who are the fake Jews. You need to understand this part of the Bible. Verse 19, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 19. Deuteronomy 32, 19. And when Elohim saw it, he spurned them because of the provocation of his sons and his daughters. And he said, verse 20, Deuteronomy 32, verse 20. Deuteronomy 32, verse 20. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will hide my face. You know, when a parent hides his or her face from their child, that child can be crying, that child can be jumping up and down, screaming. The parents will not say anything because the parents have turned their face away from their child. That is what the Most High did to his own people. So he says in verse 20, Deuteronomy 32, verse 20, and he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see their end. I will see what their end will be. For they are a perverse generation, children in whom is no hope. Verse 21, Deuteronomy 32, 21. They have provoked me to jealousy with what is not God. They have moved me to anger by their foolish idols. But I will provoke them to jealousy by those who are not a nation. I will move them to anger by a foolish nation. Verse 22, for a fire is kindled in my anger and shall burn to the lowest hell. Do you see in verse 21? The Most High said that his people have provoked him to anger by being disobedient, by worshiping other idols. He said that he will provoke them to jealousy by people who are not a nation. These people came out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, they're supposed to be the people of the Most High. Many of them will admit to you today that they are Europeans. Look at what the Most High says in Deuteronomy chapter 32. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 21. It says, they have provoked me to jealousy by what is not God. They have moved me to anger by their foolish idols. But I will provoke them to jealousy by those who are not a nation. I will move them to anger by a foolish nation. Think Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg. He is a Jew. Google. Wall Street. Hollywood. The US government. Most of the senators in the US government today are mostly lawyers. They are Jews. They usually go into law. They are Jews. Bernie Sanders, most of them are Jews. Wall Street in New York. Hollywood in California. The tech industry. The Most High said that he will provoke his people to jealousy by choosing those who are not a nation, by choosing a foolish nation. He will now use some people to provoke his people to jealousy. Why am I mentioning Hollywood, the movie directors? Why am I mentioning the US government, the senators? Why am I mentioning Wall Street in New York? Why am I mentioning them? Because they are literally controlling the world. And the people of the Most High are now at the bottom. Wherever they are, in Haiti, in Jamaica, in Belize, in West Africa, anywhere they are at the bottom. They are usually second-class citizens. They are usually the majority in prisons. They are now being ruled over by other nations. just like the Most High said that he will do. So those that claim to be Jews right now, the Most High is the one that chose them temporarily, not permanently. The Most High have not forgotten his people. He has not forgotten his people. So the so-called African Americans in America today, the so-called African Americans, those people that their ancestors was taken into America as slaves, they are the descendant of the true Hebrew Israelite. But like it says in Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 4, that they would discontinue from their heritage. Your heritage is the things that you are known for. Your history, your heritage, your food, your style of dressing. The things that you're known for. That's your heritage. Today, the Hebrews have lost their heritage. So when you want to understand about those that claim to be Jews, how they come to be called, claim to be Jews, the Most High is the one that put them in that land. Let's continue. So, like the person that asked this question, if I go ahead and answer your question by telling you, oh, this is going to happen to them, this will happen to them, that's just going to be my opinion. That's why we're going through the Bible, to see who they are. So you see your God saying to his people that because his people have provoked him to jealousy by worshiping idols and by not keeping his commandment, that he will now choose other people to provoke his own people to jealousy. Now, let me ask you a question. If God wants to provoke somebody to jealousy, do you think that he would choose a poor people? Does that make any sense? He will choose people and give those people wealth. It's that wealth that you will look at and you become jealous. Think of Mark Zuckerberg. Think of all the people that are those that run Hollywood. Those that run the US government, thereby running the rest of the world. Those that run Wall Street, the World Bank. Think of these people. Most of them are the so-called Jews. They are Europeans. When you see them with their wealth, their money, when you see those things, that's when you become jealous. You wish that you have those things that they have. But your God is the one that gave them those things to provoke you to jealousy. Because your ancestors provoked him to jealousy by worshiping idols. So are you going to continue disobeying your God today? Which is exactly what your ancestors did. When you refuse to keep his commandment, when you refuse to put on your tassels, when you refuse to wear your tassels in your clothes, when you refuse to grow your beard as a man, when you continuously continue to wear trouser or pants as a woman, when you do these things, you are being a fool, an idiot, because you are repeating all the foolish mistakes that your ancestor made that got you into this trouble that you are in today. It's a foolish thing to continue in the footsteps of your ancestors by being disobedient to the law of the Most High. Let's continue on. Ezekiel chapter 7:24. Ezekiel 7:24. Ezekiel chapter 7:24, still talking about those that the Most High will choose. The Most High is the one that made these people that claim to be Jews today. God is the one that made them to claim to be Jews. But what's going to happen to them? We will find out at the end. So Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 24. Again, please, all this chapter that we're reading, I really encourage you to, at your own time, spend time and go through the whole verse. Read everything. So Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 24. This is what the Most High said. Ezekiel chapter 7. Ezekiel chapter 7. Remember that these are prophecies. These are prophecies. What we read in Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 21, that was their prophecy. Meaning that at the time it was being said by the Most High, it did not happen yet. He was talking about something that will happen in the future. Like what we're about to read right now was a prophecy, but eventually it came to pass in 70 AD. So it says in Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 24, therefore I will bring the worst of the Gentiles, and they will possess their houses. I will cause the pomp of the strong to cease, and the holy places shall be defiled. So the Most High is saying in Ezekiel 7:24 that he will send the worst of the Gentiles. The worst of the Gentiles. Not just any kind of Gentiles. Not just random Gentiles. It's a very important point to keep in mind. The worst of the Gentiles. That's in Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 24. And when you look at their behavior, they are the worst of the Gentiles. These Europeans, the worst of them. It says in Ezekiel chapter 7:24 that and their holy places shall be defiled. Their holy places. Whose holy places? The holy places of the Hebrews. The temple is a holy place. It was defiled when the Most High sent in the worst of the Gentiles to come into that land. And they came in 70 AD. Okay, so let's go to Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21. So in Luke 21, we will start from verse Luke chapter 21. Luke 21, we'll start from verse 20. Luke 21 from verse 20. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its dissolution is near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let those who are in the midst of her depart. And let not those who are in the country enter her, for these are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Do you get that? Christ said that these are the days of vengeance, that those things that are written may be fulfilled. Verse 23. But woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be great distress in the land and wrath upon these people. Wrath. The anger of the Most High is the wrath upon these people. Whose people? The Hebrews, the people of the Most High. So the wrath, the anger, the punishment of the sword, and be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. This right here in Luke 21 happened in 70 AD. 70 AD. About 30 something years after Christ said these things. That was when it came to pass.
Hey, and welcome back to That Was History. I'm Cliff Langston, your host for today. If you've kept up with us thus far, you know that we love to talk about great battles and wars that were fought in the past. Up until now, our main focus has been battles fought from like the early 1700s until present day, but every now and again we get the opportunity to discuss some very ancient history, like today's topic for example. Stick around because today we're talking about the Siege of Jerusalem. In the year 70 AD, the Siege of Jerusalem would occur, which became the decisive event of the First Jewish-Roman War. Led by Titus, the future emperor of the Roman Empire, the Roman army attacked and successfully conquered the city of Jerusalem. Prior to this, the Jewish people had occupied Jerusalem since 66 AD. Some witness accounts claim that Titus didn't intend to destroy the temple. Apparently his men became tired and angry and decided to destroy the temple against his will. According to reports, over 1 million people were killed during the siege and another 97,000 were captured or enslaved. When Titus was offered a wreath of victory after the siege, it is said that he refused the honor, claiming the victory did not come through his own efforts, but that he had merely served as an instrument of God's wrath. The Ark of Titus was built in 82 AD to honor Titus and his victories, including the siege of Jerusalem. Believe it or not, the arch still stands to this day.
It was fulfilled in 70 AD. That was when the Europeans, the Romans, the Europeans you see today, they descended from the Roman Empire. The British, the French, the German, the Spanish did not disappear and vanish, just like boom, gone. No. Just like the Hebrew Israelite did not disappear and vanish. No. It's been about 2,000 years, almost 2,000 years since they were kicked out of their land. The descendants of the Hebrew Israelite are still here today, just like the descendants of the Roman Empire are still here today. Now, don't let all the modern name confuse you. Don't let all the modern name, like all the names that I just mentioned right now. The Americans, the French, the Australians, the Canadians, the New Zealand, all these people, these are the descendants of the Roman Empire. They were the ones that came in there in 70 AD and destroyed that temple. What you want to do is that you want to go study about the... But the reason why I was reading Luke chapter 21 is because Christ said this. Christ said in verse 24, Luke 21:24, and they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations. This is the reason why you go to Mexico. You will see the Afro-Iraqis, the black Iraqis. Everywhere the Hebrews are, they are at the bottom. They are poor. They are struggling. Once in a while, you will see they will rise up, but they are still in bondage. They may have few money and few wealth, but they're still in bondage. Look at what they're doing to Bill Cosby. So there's no amount of money you make that will save you from that curses of Deuteronomy 28. You can be as rich as you want, but you're still going to be in bondage. You're still going to be struggling. And oftentimes before you get that wealth, of course, you have to worship Satan in order for them to give you those wealth. So it says in Luke 21:24 that they will be led captive into all nations. And then it says, and Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Now, if you go and study this yourself, you can go and study it and come back, you can go to Africa. That was when the Hebrews migrated into Western Africa and settled there. And that was when the Roman Empire took over the land of Jerusalem. They were keeping that land all the way up until the 1800s. Around the year 1800s, that was when it was passed on into the British. They passed the land to their descendants. The British took over the land of Jerusalem in around the 1800s. And they kept it up until 1940s, around 1946. 1946, 1947, that was when they gave it over to the so-called Jews that are staying over there right now. That was when they took over, and that was when the so-called is. You can go study it and you see for yourself. All those history was the fulfillment of what you read about in the Bible. So that's how the so-called Jews got to go and stay in that land. There's something called the British Mandate. Go and look it up. Type it into Google and read about the British Mandate. That was when the British gave the land to those so-called Jews who are dwelling there right now. Where did the British get the land from? From the Romans. Where did the Romans get the land from? From the Hebrews. It was the same descendant of the Roman Empire that showed up in Western Africa and took the Hebrews as slaves. They did not go to South Africa and take slaves. They did not take slaves in South Africa. They did not take slaves in North Africa. They went straight to West Africa and took slaves and took the Hebrews, because that's where the Hebrews are staying. That's where the Hebrews are staying, in Western Africa. That's where the Europeans took slaves from among the Hebrews and took them towards the Americas. And then from the Americas, they migrated towards, you know, those you see in Jamaica, Belize, Haiti, Trinidad, Barbados. And then from there, just like Christ said, the Hebrews has now been scattered in the four corners of the earth. So that's how those so-called Jews, I like to give people as an example. Those people that was taken to America as slaves, if you call them American, they will be very much offended. Those people that was taken into America as slaves will be offended if you call them an American. But look at today. Look at today, their descendants. They will tell you that they're from Chicago, they're from this, they're from that, they're from this. That's ridiculous. That is foolishness for you to claim that you are an American. You are not an American. Your ancestors was taken to America as slaves. That's ignorant to say that you are an American. You are not an American. Saying that they are Egyptians. It's like saying that they are Egyptians, or saying that they are Babylonians, or the Philistines. Are you serious? But today, you know, people will tell you, oh, I'm an American. If you are a descendant of if your ancestors was taken to America as slaves, you are not an American. Stop saying that nonsense. And you should also consider changing your name. You need to get rid of that your slave master's name. That English name that you answer it because that's the name of the man that owned your ancestor as slave. Are you not ashamed to continue to answer that name? What are you? Do you love being a slave? Do you love being at the bottom? Do you love being poor? Do you love being, you need to get put on you. The only reason why you have that name was because your ancestors was a slave. You shouldn't be proud of that name. You need to get rid of that name and what they mean. You need to choose a Hebrew name. You need to get rid of your Johnson and Williams and Jackson. These are the names of your slave owner, those that owned your ancestors. The men that raped your great-grandmothers. The men that had sex with your ancestor's wife right in front of him. These slaves, they will sodomize a man right in front of his wife. They will have sex with a man. An European man will take his penis and have sex with another man right in front of his wife to humiliate that man. Your ancestors did not choose to answer the name that he answered. Your ancestors did not choose to answer Williams, Jackson, Robinson. That name was forced on them. Before they went to America as slaves, they had a name. Their enemy disregarded their name and branded them and gave them a different name. And today you're proud of a slave name. These people demonstrated behavior just like the Most High said that he would do. He will send the worst of the Gentile. People that will bring out a man and his family and in public have sex with that man in front of his wife and his children to humiliate him. That's why most men today are so feminized. Most Hebrew men are so feminine. They may wear suit and tie and act macho, but they're very feminine. They don't know how to be a real man. The Most High sent the worst of the Gentiles against you, and you're proud to hold on to their name. So it's time to consider getting a Hebrew name. So that's how you got to notice, like as I said, they did not go to North Africa to take slave. They did not go to Southern Africa. They went to West Africa where the Hebrews were settling. Because the Hebrews thought, well, we got kicked out of our land in 70 AD. Let's go into Western Africa and go settle. Back then, it wasn't called Africa. That was the mountains. That was the mountains that Christ talked about in Luke 21. He told them to flee to the mountains. So they fled over there and began to do whatever they want, thinking that they have escaped the Most High. No, you can't escape the Most High. The Most High sent the worst of the Gentiles, the descendant of the Roman Empire, who were coming as the British. They came over there and they took them as slaves. Those in East Africa are not Hebrews. Example, Obama. Obama is not a Hebrew. He is from East Africa. He is a Kenyan. Obama is a Kenyan. His father was a Kenyan man. So not all black people are Hebrew. Not all black people. I thank the Most High. I'm able to identify them when I know them. When I see a black person who is not a Hebrew, I can tell when I see them. Example, Obama. Obama is not a Hebrew. He is not a Hebrew. He is from Kenya. He's a West African, East African from Kenya. So you may call him a black man, but he's not a Hebrew. He's a real African. So that's how we got to where we are today, having those that claim to be the Jews. The reason why I wanted to take you through the Bible is for you to see how they came to be who they are from the Bible. So that if I tell you that this is going to happen to them or that will happen to them, that's not enough. I needed to take you through the Bible. Look at Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, and see what Christ said about them. And I think this will tell us what will happen to them. This is going to give us an idea of what will happen to the so-called Jews. You remember that it says in Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 24. Ezekiel 7:24. Didn't it say that they will defile that land? The holy places of the Hebrew will be defiled. The second largest gay parade in the world happens in Jerusalem. The second largest gay parade, homosexuals, gay parade in the world happens every year. They do a march that they call parade, gay pride parade. Second largest in the world is done in Tel Aviv. So they are defiling that land just like the Most High said that they would. Let's go to Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, the Most High, Yeshua was talking to, some of the congregations. He was talking to some of the congregations and he said, Revelation 2, verse 9, he said, Revelation, the Hebrew Israelite. He says, I know your works, your tribulation and poverty. Poverty. Did not the Most High say to his people that they will be the greatest people on the face of the earth if they keep his laws? Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy chapter 28. If they keep the commandment, they will be the greatest people on the face of the whole earth. If they don't keep the commandment, they will be the poorest people. They will be poor. They will be at the bottom, and their enemies will rule over them. That was the state that the Hebrews now found themselves as of the time that Christ was saying this in Revelation chapter 2. They were now living at the bottom, even till this very day. It says in Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, I know your works, tribulation, and poverty. I know the blasphemy of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Go to chapter 3, verse 9. The next chapter, chapter 3, verse 9. Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Indeed, I will make those of Synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. Indeed, I will make them come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you. Okay, it says here, speaking of what's going to happen to them. Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Indeed, I will make those of Synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. Indeed, I will make them come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you. So right now, the true Jews, the true Hebrews are going through the punishment of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and Leviticus chapter 26. Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 28, the true Hebrews are suffering right now. They are at the bottom, and their enemies, the Europeans, are ruling over them. Their enemies, the Europeans, are ruling over them right now, everywhere they are. They are either ruling directly, like in America, they are ruling over the Hebrews directly, or indirectly, like in West Africa. Example, Nigeria. Nigeria was put together by the British. Go and study the history. The British colonized Western Africa. Before they left, they brought in the Fulanese, the Muslims from Northern Africa. They brought in the Muslims, and then they made them, they put together Nigeria. The whole purpose and the whole goal was to make sure that the Hebrews are not free. So the Muslims are now ruling over. They have always and are still ruling over the Hebrews in Western Africa. So in that case, their enemies are still, the British are still ruling over the Hebrews, but indirectly. So in anywhere that they are not ruling, they are ruling indirectly. They're either ruling directly like those Hebrews that are in America, or they're ruling indirectly by putting their puppets, by putting in their own people to rule over the people of the Most High. So because this happened because the Hebrews was not keeping the law. They disobeyed the law. That's the reason why we have to start keeping those laws. Anyone that tells you that you don't have to keep the law is lying. That's a devil. And who does that most of the time today? The Europeans with their Christianity. Who runs around the world with their so-called missionaries, creating churches, which is nothing but a synagogue of Satan. Because it distracts people from the things that matters, which is keeping the law. We got into this mess because we're disobeying the law. And then when people run around and tell you that you are under grace, you don't have to keep the law, that person is a Satan. So these people, the Most High is going to destroy them, to clean out that land. That land will be cleaned out. That land is a holy land. It's a set apart land. Right now they're doing all kinds of abomination and fornication and adultery. All kinds of filth are going on in that land. The Most High is going to burn them up. That's what you do to clear a land. If you are into farming, you will know what I'm talking about. If you want to clear out a land, you first of all have to set it on fire. You set it on fire and burn everything and then clear it out. Should I go into Talmud and Torah? If you know about the Jews, those that claim to be Jews, you know that Talmud is number one. They take the Talmud more serious than they take the Torah. According to them, the Talmud is more important than the Torah because they say that the Talmud is the interpretation of the Torah. So the Talmud, according to them, if that makes any sense to you, why is it that a translation will be more valuable than the original? That doesn't make any sense. But to the Jews, that makes sense. So they follow the Talmud. But then you go into the Talmud, you see all kinds of filth, all kinds of things that are not found in the Torah. It's found in the Talmud. These are red flags that should alert you and let you know that these people are false. Look at that little hat that they wear in their head. Is that found in the Torah? No. That little hat that they wear, that little thing, was the Hebrews in the Bible wearing that? No. So where does that come from? These are little flags. Look at the so-called Star of David. The so-called Star of David. Does David have a star? No. The only star you see in the Bible is the Star of Ramphand, a pagan god. It's the star you see in the Bible was condemned. It's a pagan symbol. And yet they have the so-called Star of David. Wait a minute. Did not the Most High told us not to make an image of anything in the sky? Anything in the sky, not to make an image of the sun, image of the moon, a graven image of the sun, graven image of the moon, graven image of any of that, the stars. Not anything in the sky, anything in the sea. We're not supposed to make a graven image, period. But today, you see them with their graven image. And they call it the Star of David. Is that found in the Bible? No. These are red flags that should show you that they are fake. And then you look at their dressing, suit and tie. Was that the way that the Hebrews was dressing? No. If they are the true Hebrew, they should be wearing robes like the true Hebrews. Suit and tie is something that started from London. It's a Gentile style of dressing. That is the way that the Gentiles used to, that's their style of dressing, suit and tie. I used to dress like that. I don't do that anymore. I'd like to dress like a Hebrew. Put on my tassels. Look at speaking of tassel, look at their tassel. They have no blue ribbon. That little thing that they wear in the four corners of their trouser. Not even like the way we're supposed to wear our tassel. But they still don't have a ribbon of blue on that. So there's all kinds of red flags for those of you that won't care about the truth. There's a lot of red flags that should be going off and red lights that will be going off and telling you that these people are fake. They're not real. They are Europeans. I have gone through the Bible to lay these things all out so that you can see from the Bible about the so-called Jews, how they came to be. The Most High is the one that temporarily allowed them to claim to be Jews, to provoke us to jealousy. Like as I say, look at Facebook. That European, the white guy, the European guy that claims to be a Jew, he's supposed to be a Jew. Mark Zuckerberg, from a Jewish family. They don't fit the causes of Deuteronomy chapter 28. The so-called Jews do not, if they are the true Jews, then the Bible will be a lie. The Bible is a lie. You cannot read Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 28, and then look at around you today and look at the so-called Jews and say that it's either they are the true Jews and the Bible is a lie, or the Bible is telling the truth and they are lying. The true Jews are at the bottom today, and most of the true Jews have no idea who they are. The sad thing about this whole thing is that most of the true Jews don't even want to accept that they are the Jews. That is the sad thing about this. Most of the real Hebrews do not want to accept that they are the real Hebrews. Why? Because they know that if they accept that they are the real Hebrews, they're going to have to start keeping the law. They're going to have to stop fornicating. They're going to have to give up shrimp. They're going to have to give up pork. They're going to have to start keeping all the laws, grow their beards, wear their tassel, stop wearing trousers, stop wearing leggings, cover their hair, dress like a Hebrew. They know this, so they will reject their identity. This is the reason why the Most High say that more than half of the true Hebrews 2/3 will fall by the sword. 2/3 of the true Hebrew would be destroyed. Only 1/3 will be saved. 33.4% out of 100%. 33.4% will be saved. 66.6% will be destroyed, because the Most High God will not deal with anybody who refuses to keep his laws. He doesn't do it. He has never done it. He has never done it, and he will not do it. So most of these so-called Hebrews today, those that are claiming to be Hebrews but are continuing to keep the Sabbath on Sunday and keeping the Sabbath on Saturday, you're deceiving yourself. So that's that. I know that the question, he had 2 questions. So we just went through one of the questions right now so that you can see these people that claim to be Jews, they are Europeans. And most of these people are going to be destroyed because they are just fake. The Most High is using them. Yes, the Most High is using them to provoke us to jealousy. And I will tell you, sometimes I do see certain things and I feel jealous. I feel jealousy. Let me be more specific. Let me be specific. When I see their women, I feel jealous. I have to tell you the truth. When I see the women of these people that claim to be Jews, when I see their women, I feel jealousy. Because oftentimes when I see their women, the practicing Jews, the so-called Jews, those of them that practice Talmud, when I see their women, I feel jealousy. I jealous them. Why? Because their women dress moderately. Their women cover their hair. They cover themselves properly. They wear skirt or dress. And most of the time they're pushing their baby with their children following them. When I see that, I feel jealousy. Because when I see my own sisters, when I see the true Hebrews, her breast is either hanging out intentionally, or you are most likely able to see her vagina through her leggings. Because most of the Hebrew women today are nothing but prostitutes. They have a spirit of prostitution, and you can tell by the way they dress. Most of them are running around begging men to have sex with them. Most Hebrew women today are nothing, they are worse than prostitutes. Worse than prostitutes. Read Ezekiel chapter 23. Ezekiel chapter 23 is exactly what we have going on today. So yeah, when I see the Hebrew Ishmaelites, the Muslim women, when I see the so-called Jews, their women, I feel jealousy. That's the fulfillment of what the Messiah said that he will do. Because our ancestors worshipped idol, refused to keep the commandment, the Messiah said he would choose another people and use them to provoke us to jealousy. So, yeah, that's about the so-called Jews. That's who they are. They're so-called. And many of them will admit that they are Europeans, that they are not the real Jews. Many of them who are being honest will tell you, you know what, we can't really trace our history back to the biblical Israelites. They were only there because the Most High allowed them to be there. They were put there in the 1960s or 1940s, 1947, 1946, 47, by something called the British Mandate. The British is the one that gave them that land for them to go and stay there. So another question, the second question that you asked, your second question was, I hope that this is clear. I hope that we covered this. This is how I like to do it. I like to go through the Bible so that if I had said, it would have been easy for me when he asked that question. It would have been easy for me to say, they're going to be destroyed. That's it. No, that's not enough. So we had to go through the Bible so that you can see what the Most High said about his own people and those people that will claim to be his people. And today they are claiming to be his people. And they will continue to claim to be his people until their time is fulfilled. Now, if you want to see how their time is going to be fulfilled, I encourage you to read Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7, and possibly Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13, Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7, you will see how the times of the Gentiles are going to be fulfilled. Right now, the Gentiles are still running the world. The Gentiles are running the world right now. The Europeans are controlling the world. They run the World Bank. They run the United Nations. They run the World Health Organization. So they control the world right now. And they can go anywhere in the world. If you don't agree with them, they can come and remove you from power and put whoever they want. So we are living in the times of the Gentile. This is their kingdom. This is the kingdom of the Gentile. This is their time. This is their heaven. This is their earth right now. They run the world, and Satan is the one that gave them the power to do this. Revelation chapter 13 verse 2. Revelation 13 verse 2. So this is the heaven of the Europeans right now. This is their kingdom. This is the kingdom of Satan being run by them. So we're not supposed to have anything to do with it. We're supposed to stay away. Stay away from their education system. Stay away from their education system. Stay away from their all their stuff, their government system, their education system, their entertainment, their fashion. Stay away from these things. This is what James chapter 4 verse 4 is telling you. James 4:4. Making yourself friendship with the world is enmity to the Most High, because you cannot look at the religious system in the world. You cannot look at the education system in the world, the medical system, the fashion industry, the entertainment industry, the government system, the judicial system. You cannot look at these things and say that they are following the law of the Most High while they are running all this system. They are not. So you will be deceiving yourself if you get involved in their system and then you still turn around and claim that you're worshiping God. You're fooling yourself. We have to stay away. Let them run their world. This is their heaven and earth right now. This is the times of the Gentiles that we're living in right now. Any reasonable human being should be looking forward to that coming kingdom of the Most High. The coming kingdom of Christ. That's the kingdom that we're looking forward to. When everything will be perfect. When everything will be done and run according to the law and the word of the Most High. Where there will be no sickness. There will be no sickness. There will be no pain. There will be no suffering. Everything will be perfect. The Gentiles are coming to the end of their rulership right now. They've already lost Europe. They lost Europe to the Ishmaelites. It's done. They are done. They've lost Europe already. They are coming to the end of their time. That tells us that that kingdom of Christ is coming very fast. The kingdom of Christ is coming fast. It's coming. Because you can see those that run the world, that they're losing their power. They used to control the world. They used to have the world in their power, in their arm. But they're losing their power all over the world. China is about to is working on introducing the new world currency, which is the world reserve currency. Right now, dollar is the world reserve currency. That's about to change. All these countries are waking up. And once the Gentiles lose that power of having their dollar to be the world's reserve currency, once they lose it, that's it. Because that's one of the things that they use to hold the world to their throat. The rest of the countries are being held hostage by forcing them to use the dollar as their reserve currency. By doing that, that gives them an advantage over the rest of the countries. That's about to change with what China is doing right now and the other countries. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that you may not be aware. But the Gentiles are coming to the end of their rulership in the world. They are coming to the end. And it's freaking a lot of people out. That's why you're hearing, make America great again. Oh no, it's done. It's over. The party is over. That's the reason why you begin to hear, let's make America great again. It's because they know that it's not great as it used to be. It's done. The party is over. But what does that tell those who are awake? It tells you that that kingdom is coming fast. You have to pack your bag. You have to be ready. The coming kingdom of Christ is almost here. Because that's why I say read Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7 in order to understand what I'm talking about. Those Gentiles, because he says in Luke chapter 21 verse 24, that the Gentiles will trample on that land until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Their time is coming to an end. And it's happening right in our face right now. What comes after that? The kingdom of God, the kingdom of Christ, the kingdom of the Most High. That's what comes after the rulership of the Gentiles. So that's who they are. That's what's going on. So participating in their system, going to their school system, participating and trying to eat like them, dress like them, answer their name. These are foolishness. It shows that you're ignorant. And it shows that you don't want to be set apart. You don't want to be holy. You don't want to be set apart like your God told you to. If you get involved with them and their system, you will be destroyed along with them. It's that simple.